I'm waiting on the red thing. There it is. There's our red thing. We're live. Let's go, people. All right.
Buckle up, people. It's Amy and Chris. I don't know.
Exactly. And we're going to talk multifamily today. Look at that. Look at that. So have you heard any stories from NMHC yet? Have you heard? It's the big, it's the big conference.
I don't know. I saw a post on LinkedIn this morning from someone that I meant to save and I forgot to, but I can find it. That was talking about NMHC. Actually, I am going to find it real quick. I mean, everybody seems to be really like hyped up for 2025. It's and so I guess the mood was rather buoyant at the meetings.
Yeah,
there were a lot of third party managers there. A lot of people saying this is all from. I'm stealing this from some. I'm going to tell you, I'm stealing it from Ed Wolf. So at least I'm giving him credit.
Okay.
No, he said that a lot of companies were thinking of changing property management firms in this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So he thinks there's going to be a lot of movement in multifamily this year in terms of like P&Cs and, given the previous rate drops, everybody's expecting a lot of money to come out of the woodwork and for the capital markets and multifamily to be fairly robust this year. So it should be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, one of the stories we were going to talk about, and hopefully my buddy Jason will come on, I'm not sure. He said he was going to be here, but he does multifamily financing, but was that the Fed is pausing on any other rate drops. So so they dropped 100 basis points last year and they're cool. They're cool with where it's sitting now.
Well, I know
it slows transactions at all. I don't think that slows.
I thought that I mean, they're still, low, ish, but I thought after the news on the CPI a few weeks ago that they would do another quarter.
You would think, right?
You would think, yeah. And, and considering the price of eggs and all that, I mean, I realize that's bird flu, but everybody's talking about it.
Bird flu.
Bird flu. Eggs are $9 a dozen, or I don't know. I buy mine at the farmer's market, so I have no idea what eggs cost. But I'm one of those people. I just said that out loud. Anyways, but I really thought they'd do another quarter, but
I think that's what everybody thought. So there'll be a little reaction in the markets because of that. It's going to be a little bit interesting. I wonder how much of it has to do with the fact that Trump's in the White House and it was Jerome Powell asserting himself. I'm just wondering if it was that.
That's entirely possible. I think everybody is in shock and awe right now.
I know.
So, I mean, and it's, I made the mistake of, usually I read the news right before I go to bed at night, which is not a good habit. And then first thing in the morning. And earlier this week, I neglected to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm a mentor for somebody for an NSF grant. And they texted me and they were like, okay, well, it looks like, this whole grant program may go away. And I'm like, what? So I get on the New York Times and I'm like, this will teach. It's all my fault, folks, because I didn't read the news. Right. So all that's on me. But
grants are going away. Is that one of the things they're cutting?
Well, no, they froze them. I have a feeling like they may keep the ones that for truly science fields.
Yeah.
That they need. But I am a feeling all the ones for like social sciences and all that kind of stuff, I think those are going to go away.
Yeah.
I really do.
Interesting. Yeah. the severances, the 8-month severance for the employees. I don't know how many they're letting go. I just
2 million. Well, they sent the email to 2 million. My ex-husband is one of them. But the problem is the money's not allocated to pay for that. And so like the New York Times article on it was like, there are people that are saying it's just a trick. So he knows who to get rid of when he's going to clean house. I don't know. I mean, at this point, anything's possible. We're living in the multiverse. So, yeah, I know. I've given up trying to understand, you just can't. You just got to like watch it and, see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's interesting to me what he gets all excited about. Like the releasing of the JFK stuff. Like,
who cares?
Who cares? Like, apparently RFK cared. RFK Jr. cared. So it was a personal favor to him to release that, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just, I don't know. But
we're going to lose half our audience here, though, Amy. We should. Let's talk religion next.
No, but you can't ignore it because it's gonna, honestly, if you want to tie it back to multifamily, it's gonna matter at some point. I mean, if
it already is. Because the FCC cleared the docket. So the proposed rulemaking that would have affected pricing for bulk or the ability to deploy bulk and managed Wi-Fi is gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's gone. It's just disappeared. It's all gone. I can't remember the FCC commissioner's name right now, but yeah, no, he wiped out anything that was pending. Hey, Guillermo.
What Chris, how you doing?
How are you doing?
So go back, explain to me the before and after and what's the difference.
So there was proposed rulemaking last year from the FCC. I can't remember the exact language, but it was going to put severe restrictions on everybody's ability to provide. It was around like freedom of choice. Like allegedly, they had all these complaints saying I'm being forced in from tenants, saying I'm being forced into purchasing Wi-Fi from my apartment building.
Right.
So there was proposed rulemaking that wouldn't have made it impossible to deploy bulk and manage, but would have made it much harder because it was going to decrease the amount extra you could charge for it. So essentially for managed, it was not going to make sense anymore. Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
A big kick with
your payback period would have been just way too long. So so everybody, NMHC was actively lobbying against it. I can't remember. There was a firm that had hired a lobbyist, a multifamily firm that had hired a lobbyist to do nothing but be on Capitol Hill, arguing against this proposed rulemaking. When I was at Graystar, the word went out. I guess this is maybe it's even from 2023. I don't know. It's hanging around a while. Anyway, it's gone. It's just disappeared.
It disappeared. Okay.
It disappeared. But and then he froze all federal funding. And I know he took that back, but when he's going to do it again. And the thing is, if he's going after Medicaid, he's going to go after affordable housing. There's a lot of federal money and that goes into supporting, the lower middle class, lower class, or whatever terminology is in vogue. Sorry, I'm probably saying something on PC, but economically disadvantaged. We'll go with that. Economically disadvantaged people, and that funding, I think, is it's going to be. I think that's going to impact multifamily because suddenly you're like the HUD subsidies. I think are in danger.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Yeah, it's really interesting for sure. Some of those LIHTC, those low income housing, they're bought in. They have those things. They've already sold their credits. Are in for the next 20 years, or their LURAs are there. But if there's no new affordable housing coming on board even if they slow down 6 months, it's going to put everybody back like 2 years. It takes a while. Any slowdown, any sort of development you just impact the whole supply chain. It's just horrible, you know. I just
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
I
I mean,
know.
yeah, I get pausing for ridiculousness and other things, but there's got to be, I don't know, there's got to be some discernment.
Well, I think there's got to be some controlled way of doing it,
Yeah,
right? You
right.
can't just like yank the plug out and hope for the best. You know, I mean, Trump himself, part of his platform is the government has got way too many people in it, right? It's not
Mhm.
efficient, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree. There are parts of the government that are inefficient. I'm not going to argue that point. However, they're functioning now to
Mhm.
some degree. And if you pull the plug, they all just cease to function. I
Yeah,
mean, you
exactly.
can't. Yeah, so you're just making the problem worse.
Exactly.
Um, well,
And
for
one of
people,
if he wanted to slow down any sort of thing that he wanted to pass or enforce, he just did it to himself. He just shot himself in the foot because he basically is cutting all the government employees. If he wants to change all these different things on immigration and we're going to deport
well, yeah,
everybody and all that
he's
stuff,
he.
I mean, he's like, you got to have INS officials. If you're going to let them all go, how are you going to deport people? I
I
don't know.
I know. Well, this is the thing, and it's like if you tell 2 million people to resign, what happens tomorrow,
Yeah,
right?
some
And
of
so,
them.
like, I listen. I'm not. We can sit here and bust on Trump all day long. I understand, but my problem is that he because of his ego, he needs to appear as a strong man. And so he's making all of these kind of rash decisions to be like, I am in charge. That's his whole point. I am in charge. The problem is,
Mhm.
yeah, he could do all this stuff and take like a year or 2 years. He's got 2 years to do it until the midterms. And so
Right,
he could do it in some kind of logical fashion.
right.
Um, but it's against his, ethos to do it that way because he's trying to make a point.
Yeah,
That's my problem. Like if he were going to do it over 2 years and do it rationally, hey, listen, he won the election. He had the majority of the US
yeah, voted for
wants
him.
him to be president. I think some of them are now like, but he's going to cut Medicaid. What? Um, he'll cut all DEI. What? Like, I mean, I think there's going to be some buyer's remorse here, but like I said, like, I mean, I'm not saying there's not government at that point. I'm just saying if
Right.
that's what he wants to accomplish, then he should put some thought into it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the deportation, I think, what he doesn't realize, I mean, the multifamily industry will get hit. A lot of they don't buy houses, they rent. And so if you're going to deport a lot of people, the multifamily industry is going to, no offense, they're going to have vacancies.
Well, and as my friend said, who's going to pick the apples? Um, No, actually, I saw somebody posted a meme. I don't even know if it's real because it could be real. Posted
The
like,
price of food is going to go up because they're already saying they're having labor shortages on the farms.
yeah, well, because everybody, yeah, no, but somebody posted a meme last night, a poster, fake. I don't know if it was fake or not. It was a poster, with some whatever, some Trump-looking person, so asking for volunteers to pick the crops, to harvest the crops, right? It's like one of those World War II looking posters,
Oh, like
that
you,
kind of
like
thing.
Uncle Sam?
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you have your victory garden, that kind of thing. Buy war bonds. It was that style of poster. And I literally was like, could be real. That
I
could be
know, right?
real. I don't know. I was gonna Google it and I was like, I don't want to know.
Hey, Guillermo, welcome to the conversation. Chris and I are having fun.
Morning, morning, morning. Clearly, you guys
Morning.
are in at later times. You've had more cups of coffee than I have.
Yeah, exactly. Are you at NMHC? Did you go?
Yeah, yeah, I
Ah,
am.
how was it? Give us the NMHC
Yeah,
It
report.
we
was
were
a
looking for feedback.
it was a really good show. I mean, it was my first time, so didn't really know what to expect. I think that when you're a vendor in these kind of shows, um, like it's nice when it's not overwhelming with vendors. Like having no expo hall makes a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And getting a chance to meet folks in different parts of the industry was also pretty valuable. Like I had spent some time with some folks in insurance, spent some time with some folks in the lending side, learned a little bit about that business, and then how it relates to everything. And of course, the interest rate changes that happened. Everyone was kind of like talking a bit about that. So there's what's the phrase? Cautious optimism. I think there's like it feels a little bit more like determined optimism, like not caught. Like the optimism is self. It's like I'm smart enough, good enough, and people like me. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Where it's self talk. And as I was talking with Shelly yesterday, um, it's there's a lot of people looking for work, and I think it's interesting. So here's my take. Here's my optimism, my
Okay.
optimistic perspective
All right.
is that when we didn't have this is I'll actually have to CC Shelly on this one because we were both chatting about it last night. Shelly Robinson is that the when everyone was doing just fine and there was no threat to your employment or the success of your organization or performance metrics, it was pretty easy not to do anything.
Uh,
And now like the threat of having to do something, I'm hopeful will create an attitude towards change versus status quo.
change
Because the
of
status,
what
so
though?
that's what I'm hopeful for, is that you're going to see
Yeah.
more
Change of what though? Like
just
to more.
changing doing things differently, like buying your product, buying SKBMs, like
Yeah.
just doing things differently because like the status quo isn't really, people are losing their jobs for status quo right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Well,
at the higher level, at the executive levels, right? There's VPs and directors that are kind of on the chopping block because things aren't working.
So
yeah.
was there talk of AI agents and AI replacing employees and doing it? Was there talk of that? And what was the general sense of are people fearful or are they embracing it? Because that's always a good temperament to.
It wasn't, I mean, it wasn't as much of a conversation track as it always could be.
Okay.
I mean, Justin Jones is here, so he's like, he's the prophet for all that stuff, and he had a good couple tracks on that. I think that ultimately, like the conversations people were looking for, it's a deal makers conference, right? And so
Wow.
there's a lot of lenders, a lot of banks. It wasn't an operators conference, and so the AI pieces really affect the operator side more so than the funding side. So I think just the audience didn't have much of a conversation around it just because of what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
Like they're much more concerned about the basis points. They're much more concerned about the
Yeah.
Fed
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
concerned
Yeah,
about
no.
an AI bot.
I was quoting Ed Wolf's post from LinkedIn earlier, Guillermo, his take on the show. He said one of the things that there was an emphasis on branding and showcasing the impact of investments and doing a lot of public relations to create FOMO. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to, if they're trying to create FOMO, do you think that's going to impact the way a technology, gets invested in this year?
I don't think, I mean, I think you guys know my opinion. I don't think FOMO works anymore. I think
Yeah.
we're beyond that. These are pretty smart people, and there's enough. You got to make change. I think people are committing to change for the right reasons now, not because like of FOMO. Like FOMO, you can defend away. Oh, we're regional. It's a regional business, so we're different than everybody else, or we do things differently, and so you can kind of defend away all the FOMO pieces. I don't think that's. I think it's a like again, it's more of the fact that the status quo is inadequate, and
Yeah.
that's what's going to create change. So it isn't like FOMO is like I feel like FOMO was like a real rage for like let's say 2020 to 2024 because it
Yeah.
was so frothy. And then now we kind of get into I'll say 2023, but now 2024, 2025, it's really about like, okay, we have to do better. These are things that I've learned that are out there in the market. Here's things that we can employ. Here's what's possible for us. And
Yeah, but
and
who's gonna?
let's deploy and consider.
Yeah, who's gonna tell them? Because Ed also said operational efficiencies is a big thing. I think you were just talking about
Mhm.
operational efficiencies, like Iris CX, of course, helps with that. But who is going to guide them on that journey, right?
That's a great question. I mean,
Because like they're really good at what they do, right? but they're not technologists. And so they have these issues they're trying to address. They have this notion that they can be maybe not fixed, but ameliorated with technology. But who's going to tell them
Yeah.
which technologies?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's people like you now, right, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Call me.
Everybody go see Chris. If you want to know what tech stack to use in your multifamily properties, you need to talk to Chris. Yeah, but I think you're right. So there's this obviously glaring skill gap on the real estate company side, or especially on the multifamily side, in data science, technology in general, networking and integrations. Like there is, like, I mean, that's a sense when I talk to everybody that it's there, it exists. So you're going to have to outsource that. But I think the smart ones, like if you talk to, who does Jennifer Coster work for? I can't remember. Anyway, so Jennifer's really cool. They have a data scientist on staff. They actually went there. I think she's out in Phoenix. They have a multifamily community out there. They have a data scientist on staff, and it does. She does all of their reporting. She does a lot of different things. So, and she's like, and Jennifer's in HR. She's like, she's the most valuable employee we have.
Is that a PMC or is that an operator or owner operator?
They're an owner operator.
Yeah.
No, so I was just like, yeah. But so if real estate companies embrace, more of this, we need technology people and staff, then obviously the adoption of technology will increase, right? And part of it is you're not guessing anymore, and you don't create burdens for your staff because now they have 20 logins to do their damn jobs, right? You can be smart about how you deploy technology.
Yeah, either that or you come to somebody like SKBM, and there are others out there. We're not the only horse in town. We're the best.
Chris, yes.
We are the best. No, but hey, I'm on at 9:00 in the morning. I get a free plug. No, but I mean, depending on the size of the company, though, do you want to hire those resources in house, right? And I think when you're talking, the vast majority of the market, you're not talking the Gray Stars, the Avalon Bays, the Portland of the world. Like they just don't have the resources. And so
it's very true. If you look at a lot of the real estate companies that own multifamily, they run very lean. They're like, millions of dollars of properties, and there's like 5 of them. Like, you're just like going, how are you asset managing, all these property managers? How are you doing all this with 5 people in your staff? Like, it's crazy town. Yeah.
Well, it's like, so somebody, I won't say the name of the firm, but let's just say it's a really big property management company that owns across several verticals. You know who I'm talking about, Amy. Yes. The CTO reached out to me through LinkedIn, and I talked to him, I think first thing yesterday morning, it might have been Tuesday. Anyway, he's like, well, I'm really focused. I've been focused on commercial office, but they have multifamily properties. And so he's like, essentially, he was like, I don't know anything about multifamily tech. Help me out here. Somebody told me I should talk to you. Because I had no idea what the call was for. I'm like, I don't know why this guy wants to talk to me. That seems like a big job, right? CTO of this major PMC. I told him that. I'm like, well, you've got a big job. Because I'm me. I got no sense. But it was just kind of like, he's like, well, how different is he asked me this, how different is multifamily from commercial office? Oh no, he asked me how different it was from hospitality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a fair question, but I'm like, there's still kind of apples and oranges, right? I mean, there's just a lot of difference. He's like, really, it seems like they should be the same to me. And I'm like, no, not at all. There are different needs in hospitality than there are in multifamily.
Yeah. Even though multifamily tries to take a cue from
they're trying to take a cue.
They're trying to take a cue from it. But still, at the end of the day, it's, the guest experience at a hotel versus the tenant experience at a multifamily are vastly different.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to the revenue, right? Hotel revenue is earned night by night.
Right.
And multifamily revenue is earned year over year. So you do things differently, right? It's like you have to, you price make you're a price maker in the hospitality industry, and you're largely a price taker in the multifamily industry. So it's different. It's very
And your
different.
marketing strategies are different. Everything's different.
In your tech stack, I mean, I know they seem like they're the same. You got to have Wi-Fi, and you have to have some kind of bulk or managed in hospitality for sure, right?
Yeah.
Nobody pays for nobody in hotel pays for Wi-Fi anymore. At least I don't. I don't know. Maybe some people do.
Yeah.
They try to sucker you into that premium Wi-Fi. They both need access controls, and a lot of that hardware is similar, but the difference is in hospitality, you're changing those keys
all the time.
And if it's somebody like me who constantly loses their keys, you're rekeying my lock every other day, right? And so
I hate keys, by the way. I was a multifamily owner operator. Keys were the bane of my existence. All we were a key making facility. That was
this is why somebody asked me the other day, do you have a one pager on the benefits of smart locks in multifamily? And it was like 10:15 at night, and they're like, I kind of need it today. And I'm like,
tell them to call Amy, because I'll go, I hate keys. I hate them. Like you're making.
Well, but I just needed he needed one page, so we all know how I made that happen. But stole some photos from the website, a little AI. It was all good. It's not perfect, but it got the job done.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know the benefits, but I'm not at 10:15 at night going to sit there and write something eloquent.
After you've had 3 glasses of wine, which we all know you had.
I'm on the wagon, man.
You are. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also I'm not smoking. So really, everybody should feel in danger right now. Just lock your doors, people. No, the key. Everybody, I think people that haven't had your experience, haven't been boots on the ground in the multifamily industry, do not get what a big problem keys are.
Oh, God, they're horrible.
It's like if you haven't been there, you haven't been the community manager or whatever, and actually, or an owner operator, and I don't think anybody realizes how much time it takes up.
Oh, it's horrible. And you had to have a key machine in your office, but then it got worse, because then you had to basically put a number on the key tag that was different than the unit. So then you had to cross-reference what key that was, because if somebody dropped the key with the unit number, that was a security risk.
Sure.
So and then it became law. You had to do that. And so now I'm like going, oh my God, this says 52. Which key is this for? And then you have to go back and look. It's like the dumbest thing ever. So I just started replacing them I just bought keypads here and there, and then we just knew what the code was. And then we just started doing the regular ones where you push button, whatever. I switched them. Now it's even better with the step, but this is way back in the day. I was like, this is dumb. We're getting rid of keys. I hate keys. It was horrible. It was just absolutely awful. And it took way too much time for anybody in the staff, your maintenance guys.
Well,
it was dumb.
Yeah. Well, when I was at Graystar, we were working on this managed Wi-Fi install in Atlanta. Huge property, like very large property. It was like 700 and some units of conventional, and they were putting in like garden style, right? But like kind of low rise garden. It was like 4 or 5 floors, I think, per building. So anyway, it was this very complicated project, and the building had old school keys. So we're putting in managed Wi-Fi. We need to get into every unit. Nobody did a key audit on the front end. Rookie mistake. So we're trying to get this done, and we're trying to get it done quickly. It ended up taking like 6 months to get the install done. They were missing keys. Yeah. People had taken, I would have never thought of doing this if I were renting a place. They had taken the regular lock off their door and put in a smart lock. So the property actually had no access to the unit. They had just like rekeyed they had replaced
their own door. Yeah. Yeah.
They just, and I'm like, who would do, it's not you don't own that. You don't get to replace the hardware. Like, what the hell?
I know. Yeah.
And so it was a disaster. And like, I felt so bad for the community manager. They were trying so hard, but it was just, 700 plus units of old school keys, and like keeping track of that is ridiculous. And I know there are, management things and all that, but still, it's a complete waste of time.
It is for sure. Well,
Does it go back to the question though, like how you started the question about how they're going to learn, right? Like, I think, and then you have a CTO of a major PMC that's asking open-ended questions about how it should be, just guessing kind of like what the problems are inside multifamily, right? We talked for 5 minutes about like keying is a multifamily problem. So I think that to your question, Amy, around like how are they going to learn? I think a lot of it's going to come down to, I mean, there's kind of like the buyer's journey, like when they gain awareness about problems, those vendors, it's up to us to talk about the problems that are out there. And then I think there's an element of the consultants out there, because there's a big business of the consulting side of things, and for them to be aware and influence the decision makers, because whatever we do when we're talking as a vendor, I mean, we're basically all take everything we say with a grain of salt, because we've got a motivation to try and convert, right? And then you take a look at the multifamily consultants, they're trusted advisors, and so there's kind of like that double layer.
Well, I mean, and this was just real quick, Amy, and I don't know if I've told you the story. I know I told Guillermo. I was on a call last Friday morning. You can guess which call. And I came in late, and one of the owner operators was losing their mind with prop tech providers, because they think prop tech providers think one size fits all. They don't understand the pain points in multifamily. They don't understand that every owner operator, every market, every property is a snowflake. They don't listen. And I'm like, and so it's like, there needs to be education both ways. And I've been trying to do this for like 10 years now. I'm not getting anywhere. No. I have reviewed so many decks. I mean, Guillermo is a genius, like hands down. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen his deck, Amy. And he put it together in like, I don't know, 48 hours or something. It was crazy. I was like, who the hell is this guy? I had just met him. Yeah. And, but he's smart about like realizing all of
the customers for sure. Understanding he was like consulting. He was like dropping all these things on me, like, your ICP and your avatar, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, dude, I'm not, but I get it now that I'm getting in my master's. I can talk that language too. Now I get my master's. But understanding the customer, Guillermo's got down, man. Like, yeah, for sure. Right?
Well, I mean, it's expensive for me to guess wrong, right? So
it's expensive for everybody. And that's what I don't get about the prop tech companies or any startup in general, that they don't. I mean, that's the one thing that in my master's program that got beaten into my head. It's like, do your market research before you build anything. Go ask a freaking million people what is it that they need, or what are their pain points with their solutions, and how much are they willing to pay for it. Don't forget the last bit, because you might go build something, but they're not willing to pay for that. Right.
I got 2 solutions for that I have run across in the past week.
Oh, that's awesome.
And really? So I don't know how much about those solutions is public. Yeah. But I know the one of them is a company we all know that's coming out with a new product, and I kind of was told confidentially, I think, so I don't want everybody to know. But the second one is have you all seen Kloo, KLOO?
Yes.
I have not.
It's super. Talk about doing your market research.
Yes, it's great.
It's amazing. And as an anthropologist, I'm like, oh, I just want to play with it. just give me like a week to sit and play with it. I know I can't do that because, whatever. But no, I think the kind of insights they provide in terms of knowing your customer.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else kind of matches. The way they do it and the relationships they have, with large financial institutions and other large corporations, that they have access to the data. It's all anonymized, complies with GDPR, all the bells and whistles. It's global. but like I saw it briefly at Cretech, and then I just finally, after however many months it's been, since the middle of November, got him on the phone the other day, and like I was giddy because I'm like, this is like, there's so many, like they're just getting into the real estate side. They've been around for 13 years, but like there are so many possible use cases for their data set, and I think that understanding the customer and understanding the market, I think they're kind of a game changer. So plug for Clue.
Club Blue, yeah.
How do you spell that again? KLLO? KLLO?
KLOO, yeah.
Yeah.
KLOO, yeah.
Yeah, Guillermo, happy to make an introduction because I think you'll really be fascinated by what they do.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm taking a look at it here.
Yeah. So let's talk about trends, and I mean, we could sit here and we're all friends, y'all. So if you don't know, we'll just sit here and chat forever and just talk about whatever, and we'll never get to any of my stories. So let's talk about the growing trend. So there's some trends happening with the CHIPS Act. And there was a story that came out how some multifamily investors are following kind of the CHIPS Act was I think it was Biden that enacted this thing to spur on semiconductor manufacturing in the United States, right? We wanted to stop having it built in Taiwan. So TSMC, so sorry, you're too close to China. We don't like you. So I came from semi. I've been in semi for a while. So Austin is one of the semiconductor hotspots. And Samsung is building out a huge facility in Taylor, Texas, which is northeast of Austin. So that is one of the areas that investors are following because they know when you do semiconductor manufacturing, it's still very people intensive. So you have to hire a bunch of people. So it's just like following the jobs, like what every multifamily investor does, they follow the jobs. So they're using the CHIPS Act to do that. So in some of these other markets I hadn't heard of. So Albany, New York, which I knew is Fishkill near Albany? Because I know
Fishkill is south significantly of Albany. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I know IBM's in Fishkill, but I don't. So apparently Albany, New York, Phoenix, and Austin, of course, but New Albany, Ohio, and Hillsboro, Oregon. Apparently, those are really good. I'm throwing that out there. So I don't know who's Intel's. I don't know, but is Intel even around anymore? I thought they died.
Yeah. Well, they just got removed from the. They were replaced with NVIDIA on the Dow Jones.
Really?
I think it's the Dow Jones. Yeah. No. That's interesting, and I think that's one of the things that under the current administration is not going to go away, right?
Right.
Because we want that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm sitting here thinking, how can I make use of this information?
Exactly. Right.
Like,
yeah.
Is this the kind of thing where folks like SKBM and Guillermo need to actually dig into, start paying attention to where these chip manufacturers are going to go and start trying to figure out who's going to build? And
so here, let me read more. So Arizona, Intel actually has I thought they were dying, but apparently they did a 7.8 billion expansion in Chandler, which is outside of Phoenix. And TSMC has a $6.6 billion facility in Phoenix, and 30,000 jobs are expected in Phoenix. New York, it's Micron, and they have a $100 billion investment in clay and will create approximately 20,000 jobs. And then Ohio is Intel, and they're going to create 30,000 jobs, which all this is weird to me. I thought Intel was dying. Samsung is the one I told you about. That one's to create about 10 to 15,000 jobs plus 6,500 construction jobs. And then Oregon is Intel again, which has 30,000 jobs. And then Utah, which is Lehigh, Utah, which is another one, is Texas Instrument, has a $1.6 billion semiconductor plant.
What is Texas Instruments? There's a blast from the past.
I know. It's like TI.
My TI fancy calendar calculator that my dad had.
No. Yeah. So it's interesting obviously regulation is going to spur. I mean, if anybody invests in anything, but manufacturing, which makes sense because semiconductor manufacturing still is even when I worked at Applied Materials way back in the day, like over 20 years ago, it was still, they're building Applied Materials doesn't build the chips. They build the equipment that makes the chips. And that was, we had thousands of jobs in Austin.
Well, and
I had 10,000 people on that campus.
I mean, and you kind of wonder about, yeah, they're creating 10,000 jobs, but how many more jobs are going to come in Taylor, Arizona, right? Because like, who's going to move in next door so they don't have to ship the chips, which I realize are, but still, who's going to move in next door just to take advantage of the efficiencies? I mean, that's,
exactly. Yeah. It's like the regional impact is even more than that, right? If it's going to create, and I don't know if that's
because every job is a family. It's not a single person, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what the multiplier is, but even if it was 1.5, right? You're talking 45,000 more people.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
There's an impact, and there's I mean, they follow the jobs. That's the one thing that you do see in multifamily. I'd be curious to see how long, which ones of those development plans are shovel ready and which ones are just like announcements.
Yeah.
Like at the Amazon HQ2 kind of thing, like it's just a jerk around. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch it. Certainly, I mean, Intel's been in Oregon for a very, very, very long time.
Right.
And so like, and I don't know the other places offhand, but there's certainly there's no doubt that Intel is going to battle back, and the semiconductor chip is going to be. They're going to move some of that here. I mean, but look at what happened with DeepSeek the other day, right?
I know.
So they announced they need like 1/4 of the chip power. So like they're able to do similar things at the same speed as OpenAI with less chip power. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
So maybe you wonder that's Intel's savior, right? Because they can use Intel chips and not NVIDIA GPUs to do what they're going to do. Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, I think that's what we're, those ancillary industries. It's like, Elon built the world's largest supercomputer here which creates not very many jobs, right?
Yeah.
But we're all wondering, well, once MLGW, the power company, figures out how the hell and the TVA figure out how the hell they're going to get them the power to run this map, I was told last week during the cold snap to turn my thermostat down so we didn't have brownouts. So I don't know how they're going to power this, but I think I know they're building another substation. But once they figure that out, you're like, who else is going to come?
They're all looking around there. Yeah.
To this knackered city to like hang out next to Elon's baby.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So in the data center game, that's the group I service, right? So when Elon put his thing there, all the land immediately around where he put his thing became immensely valuable for other data centers, because if you bring the power there, which they will, he's going to force them to bring the power there.
Yeah.
Then everybody else can take part. That's how they do it, because they're following and they follow power and connectivity. So if there's connectivity there's fiber there, and they've got the power there, which Elon will force them to bring, then another data center can hop onto that train.
Well, and they follow the tax incentives.
Yeah, they do.
They follow the tax incentives. And like Elon built it. I think, Amy, you and I have discussed this. He was just like, go ahead, find me. I'm not getting a permit.
Yeah, I know. He built it with modular, and he does self-generation on site. He's not even hooked up to power yet. He's using diesel generators.
Yeah.
And so he's polluting the air with all this diesel.
Oh, plus they got to build a gray water plant, which now. It's anyway, but Memphis is very excited. I have no idea how they won that deal. They did it in like 2 months. It was like super fast.
Yeah.
I have no idea how they got it. I'm anxious to see, and then out in the sub, but they're chasing. It's like Ford is building Blue Oval outside of Memphis, this huge EV vehicle manufacturing plant. We'll see how that goes. But it's like who wants to be an hour outside of Memphis, right? But it's where they got the tax incentives. The land was relatively inexpensive, and so like Taylor doesn't surprise me at all. And Albany doesn't surprise me because the cost of living is relatively low.
Yeah. And the land was cheap. It was close enough in, like, it's like if you go from Taylor to Round Rock is just a northern suburb of Austin, but to Taylor is like 30 minutes to Round Rock, and Round Rock's that's where Dell is, major multiple.
Well, I mean, I'm salivating over the thought of how much retail is going to have to go in. I'm like,
I know. It's just, It does. It has a, a big multiplier effect when you put a big manufacturing plant there. It really is. It is kind of interesting. So I guess it's one good thing Biden did. Everybody thinks he was useless, but he actually did that. So they actually did pass that. So that was
Oh, and just before I forget, I just want to say a mea culpa to Randy Storch at JLL. If I didn't want to say that you're not smart, you're brilliant. I just I was like, man, if he's listening, he's probably going to be like, what is
no, everybody watches this show, Chris, so you got to be real careful. And
I know. I know. I heard Trump's watching this morning.
Trump is my biggest fan. He's my biggest supporter. I'm just saying. And we were so nice to him, talking about all sorts of fun things this morning.
Yeah, he's really trying to pursue the female vote in Texas. It's a big swing for him.
I think he just listens to anything I say, and he doesn't listen to Elon. He listens to me.
You're the shadow government now.
I am the shadow government, y'all. I am the shadow government. All right, this is too funny. All right, let's talk about trends in multifamily. There was one I was talking with Chris about it earlier, and the latest growing trends in multifamily are apparently saunas and cold plunges. What? Really? Like, why are we doing saunas and cold plunges? Play spots. So instead of co-working spaces, these are like, I don't know. I mean, I remember back in the day, there was top golf stations at multifamily and nobody used them, but everybody felt like they had to put them in. So now it's like these places where people, I don't know, like there's pools.
I mean, is it really like this amenity game? The amenity game seems like a fool's errand.
I know.
Provide a good living accommodations.
Yeah.
Charge fair prices, and keep your residents longer. Like Chris and I are working hard.
That is not the Class A way. You have to have the coolest thing. You have to have this because all the Class A's are going to have different things, and they're trying to attract a different tenant.
Yeah.
And the Class A way is like, it's almost, I think part of it too is because some of these, what they are competing with is some of these towers that are part hotel, part multifamily. So because they're that, you get the multifamily side gets to participate in all the amenities from the hotel, right? So you have the restaurants, you have this, you have that, you have all these things. And so I don't know if it's a page out of that because, some of the downtown Austin, you go to the Thompson, it's part hotel that's got a spa and a really nice fitness center in it and has all these other stuff. And the other part is the apartment complex. And it's
Class A though. I mean, what about the rest of them? I mean, I don't see Class B putting in saunas and plunge pools, and that's
is that Class A or is that luxury? Do you call that luxury or Class A?
Well, I would just say for me, but I'm old school, so I just call it Class A.
I mean, how much does
a brand new building?
Yeah, brand new building. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing
is
I mean, if you're going to replace something that's not getting used, your co-working space with a sauna and a plunge pool and a pool table, maybe that's a good investment. It's a relatively, that's not a huge investment. Yeah. And then 5 years from now, I just think that whole playroom thing just reminds me of like Silicon Valley 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It reminds me of Google HQ or Google building, one of the Google offices in New York City where everybody's going around those Razor scooters, right?
Yes, exactly.
Almost got one over. They're just scooting by me. But yeah, I'm like, it kind of seems retro at this point to go with the playroom. I mean, maybe they're trying to create, maybe because like Topgolf is a solitary pursuit. Maybe because it's, darts and pool tables and maybe they're trying to create community. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't looked for this, but this would be really a really good study on during COVID, the transition from people, the amount of time people were spending in an apartment during the day obviously increased, right? Because everybody was home and then everybody switched to hybrid work. So I'm wondering if there's people on apartments more often, like in the hours of the 24 hours of the day, it's gone from 12 to now maybe 16 or 17 or 18 or whatever. So now they have to come up with things for them to do to keep them kind of happy, like that they're there. And
but I mean,
walls and board. I don't know.
Yeah, I know I just keep circling back to it, but Trump has ordered all federal workers back into the office.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that was really Elon, by the way, because
you could have
seen that coming.
But anyway, the executive order is signed ordering all federal employees back into the office, right? And that, I mean, we're already seeing it. The other major companies or major companies. I said other major companies, like the U.S. government is a company, and maybe. But other companies are following suit, right? Because it's what one does, and they can get and so it's going to be interesting to see. I noticed one of the other topics was Amy was turning office into residential in New York. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, given this push to get people back into the office.
Exactly. I think there's going to be some and so office to multifamily has always been, we've been talking about it forever and a day, and it was never cheap enough. It can never pencil. But now you're finding some office deals because they've been vacant forever, and maybe they're class C or class B, because everybody's upgrading. In the office side, they're all upgrading. Like if they had a chance, just like in multifamily, when things get when it becomes a renter's market, everybody, moves on up like the Jeffersons. And so that was what was happening in the office market. So these class C offices or class B offices were going to get turned into, they're cheap and they've been vacant for a while and no one was going to rent them. So I think people took a haircut and sold them off. And so but it has to be, when I was talking with my friend, a couple of people, there's a floor plate size. It has to be like the perfect fit. It has to the floor plate size. The price is cheap enough. Basically, all you're doing is buying the glass and steel.
And the incentives and the municipal incentives in place.
Well, right. I mean, you saw, I can't remember the name of the building, but it's a famous building famous. Anyway, it's a well-known building in New York City. Last year, it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, sold at auction for $10 million.
Yes.
I'm like, if I had known, I would have been calling everybody I know going, let's buy this. I mean, but what was I going to do with it? Nobody was at the time. Nobody was in the office.
Right.
And like you say, even at $10 million converting to it's in a really good location, you would have to convert it to luxury. Though, right. Just because of the taxes and the cost of, doing anything in New York City. And so I'm like, even at $10 million, was that a deal? I mean,
maybe.
Maybe just for the land. Honestly, maybe just for the land.
It just depends how they structured the deal and what tax incentives they got. Maybe they're just going to sit on it and wait. Yeah. And then just do a speculation that the office market's going to come back, and then we'll just sell it later to somebody else.
Somebody's got to buy street dogs, man. You got to get people back into Midtown.
I know, right? Otherwise, those vendors aren't going to have anything.
They don't. We're losing hot dog vendors, man. We can't have that.
No.
I think if I step back and look at it, they're trying to solve two problems at once. They have these open buildings that are not producing tax revenue,
right? And
they need to figure that. They need to solve that problem. They're eyesores. They're unsafe. All those things, and we need more housing on the multifamily side. What we're seeing here is that it's mostly stuff that's being converted into affordable. So it's not ideal. And you're right, Amy, like you've got to find a specific floor plate. Like you've got floor plates that are a block wide. It's just not going to turn well into multifamily when you've got an elevator stack that's in the middle. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Right. Yeah. And you do have to go and rip it all down to nothing. You do need to go and figure out a way to make a master bedroom out of a office. Like it's
yeah.
I credit those that are making it happen, because I think it's something that needs to be done, but it really is it's not formulaic. Everything has to be done. Everything is really bespoke. The patient, the expression is the patient is alive in the operating room, right? When you're trying to do this transplant, rather than having to create something from scratch. And so it's delicate.
Well,
And
and that
yeah,
housing,
can't
yeah,
pull these buildings up either.
especially in New York City. It's like, if you order everybody back into the city in New York, everybody back in the office in New York City, your productivity level is going to tank because most people that work in offices cannot afford $5,000 a month studios, right? Which is, or, $5,000 a month for a studio, or maybe a small 1-bedroom, whatever. And so their commutes, and now you have the surge pricing to get into New York City if you're south of 60th Street. But there's all of this, like, you're living out in Coney Island and your commute in on the subway is an hour and a half.
Right.
The productivity, people are they're going to work that 9 to 5, and that is going to be it. And
this is the last thing though, like the return to work, like I'd like to know what the real numbers are. Like what are the real numbers of folks that are and by urban versus rural, right? Because like I just am not convinced. A lot of it, like we're talking about it now because of the federal government return to office, and that's like probably something that should have been done. But like I said last time, Amy, I think that's a bit of also a job shakeout. Like if you don't go back to the office,
it's a ploy. It's one of their.
It's a ploy to shake out. Yeah, it's just a shakeout for people that are low performers or maybe need to make a different choice.
No, but that's not true. Like I have a good friend. She used to be my boss years ago, and she works for the government. She lives in Chicago in Plainfield. In the area she works in the what she does, there is no office anywhere in Chicago Metro. None. She's very, very, very good at her job. Been in her industry in telecom for, I don't know, 30 years, works like a dog, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this woman doesn't sleep, right? And she's probably going to lose her job because there is no office for her to go to. And it's like FEMA. My ex-husband works for FEMA, and like they have these centralized managers that manage the teams that are out dealing with disasters. They've ordered them back into the office, which means, and they're managing like multiple disasters. Like, what do you do? And they want to get,
you feel really bad for the ones that have a really good mortgage.
Yeah, exactly.
Then now
I know, like they got a 2%.
You're sitting on a 2%. Yeah, you're sitting on a 2% beauty, and you live in Montana.
You keep it, and
your jobs is
you rent it.
Keep it and rent it. Keep it and rent it. I'm not getting rid of this house ever. I got 2 mortgage.
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, look at that. We're at the end of the hour. Look, when friends get together, that's what happens. It's crazy now. All right.
Wait, Guillermo, quick plug for you and I. We're writing an article. Stay tuned.
Oh, you are.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. All right.
It's if I get off my ass, we're writing. I promise, Guillermo, I'm working on it.
I think it is in your court, isn't it?
Yeah, it is in my court. It's totally mine. It's totally mine. I'll take it.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you? Go, Guillermo.
Best place to find me is on LinkedIn. There's not that many Guillermo Salazars out there, and there certainly isn't that many that work for Iris CX. Look me up on LinkedIn. Love to have a chat about anything, especially if you're looking to improve your operational efficiencies in multi or single family rentals.
Awesome.
And yeah, same thing. I'm really responsive on LinkedIn, believe it or not. I do. I'm one of those people. So yeah, if you want to find me, I'm on LinkedIn. Again, like Guillermo, not too many Chris Kimbroughs spelled this way. There are others, but I think on LinkedIn, I'm the only one. So you know where to find me, SKBM Smart Technology. Reach out. I'd love to chat. As you can tell, I'm a talker.
Exactly. All right. And this has been the Multifamily Show. I'm Amy Palvito with the U.S. PropTech Council. We'll see y'all next week.
See you, Amy. See
Bye.
you, Chris. Bye-bye.